I know how to do cardiac anesthesia. I know how to anesthetize somebody that's undergoing heart surgery and get them through that. And I can do that really, really well. And I don't even have to think really hard to do that anymore. But being an entrepreneur is not what really my family expected me to be.
Right.
It's not what I expected myself to be. And certainly, I think sometimes we limit ourselves based on the expectations of others. Yeah, and I think, for me, I was a first-generation college graduate and first-generation medical school graduate, so it was a big deal in my family. And everybody was really looking at me to, be the doctor that I am. The most stressful thing was telling my parents, even though I was 40 years old, because I did not want to let them down. I didn't want to disappoint them. You're never afraid to disappoint people you don't like or that you don't know, but you're always afraid to disappoint the people that really mean the most to you in life. And I found myself burned out. And so I started my company really as a community. I just started a group on Facebook that grew to thousands and thousands of women doctors from all over the country. And once that group kind of took on its own shape and form and community, I realized, okay, I need to figure out how to actually have a website and a blog and hold a conference for them. And that's what really, sparked in me a push to become an entrepreneur. And so my entrepreneurial journey was a little different because I went into medicine and didn't think that I would be in business and a business owner, but I'm very thankful that I am.
Welcome back to another episode of When Life Gives You Lemons podcast. I am Ty Davis, joined today by Dr. Shillcutt. Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing well. Do you want to start by giving us a little bit about your background?
Sure. I am Sasha Shillcutt. I have been born and raised in Nebraska, grew up in Blair, so small town Nebraska. And I am currently a cardiac anesthesiologist and professor at UNMC. I'm also the founder of Brave Enough, which is a company I've led for a decade where I teach women, primarily women physicians, how to really control their time and manage their time through courses and retreats. And I'm the founder of Legacy Collective, which is going to be opening up in a couple months here in Omaha, Nebraska, the first premier women's club for Omaha.
Oh, that's really cool. What planted the seed for you to start that entrepreneurship in your life?
Well, I did not plan on being an entrepreneur. I never thought I would be one. About 10 years ago, I found myself in medicine, practicing anesthesia with 4 young children, a very busy career, trying to balance being a mom and also being a doctor. And I found myself burned out. And so I started my company really as a community. I just started a group on Facebook that grew to thousands and thousands of women doctors from all over the country. And once that group kind of took on its own shape and form and community, I realized, okay, I need to figure out how to actually have a website and a blog and hold a conference for them. And that's what really, sparked in me a push to become an entrepreneur. And so my entrepreneurial journey was a little different because I went into medicine and didn't think that I would be in business and a business owner, but I'm very thankful that I am.
Nice. How long did it take to kind of go through the blog and the website and all that stuff? Did it take you a while or to get it kind of started? Obviously, you weren't really planning on it growing like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think it took me about a year to develop my website before I had the courage to hit publish because I was so afraid of what people would think about me, or if it wasn't perfect, I'd have my website all developed and then I'd go look at someone else's website and be like, oh, I don't have that, or I don't have this, or I can't do this. And I had a lot of imposter syndrome at first with it. So it took me about a year to get the courage and just really to push myself forward. And I kept thinking about all the women I knew in my life who were entrepreneurs and who did it. And I thought, if they can do this, I thought of my salon owner all the time. And I thought, she's younger than me. She's got this great salon. She's figured this out. And if she can own a salon, I can certainly own a business. So she was one of the people that I looked up to, and many other women. But it took me about a year to get the courage to do it.
Oh, that's really cool. You mentioned Legacy Collective. What kind of sparked your kind of entrepreneurship journey on that? And was it what you had already started, or just kind of What made you really want to start doing that? You said it opens in a couple months, right?
Yeah, so about a couple years ago, I noticed that in Omaha, in our community, there's really great networks of women. There's phenomenal women in all different industries, whether it's in entertainment or tech or medicine or law. We just have a really great community and a lot of leaders and a lot of entrepreneurs. But what we don't have specifically for women are spaces to meet. It's kind of in our culture and in our society for men to have those spaces, like sports bars or
Right.
golf courses or cigar bars or different clubs like that, which are really great. My husband belongs to several of them, and he finds community in going golfing and then going to the country club afterwards with his friends or whatever. And I recognized, like, we don't really have a space like that specifically focused on women. So I started doing research across the country. I travel a lot and speak, and I noticed that other cities had something similar. And so that's what kind of sparked me to figure out whether we should do something here.
That's really cool. What challenges along the way with Legacy Collective, or kind of any challenges that you've faced over the past couple months or years, that's kind of helped you grow?
Well, we don't have time to go through all of that really today, but I think when you have a passion for something that maybe is off the beaten path, you're going to have challenges and obstacles. I know how to do cardiac anesthesia. I know
Right.
how to anesthetize somebody that's undergoing heart surgery and get them through that. And I can do that really, really well. And I don't even have to think really hard to do that anymore. I know how to do that. But being an entrepreneur is not what really my family expected me to be.
Right.
It's not what I expected myself to be. And certainly, I think sometimes we limit ourselves based on the expectations of others. And then there's also the unknown, like starting a company. I've started my company 10 years ago, Brave Enough, and I know how to run that online business and do events all over the country with that business. But I don't know, I've never opened a club, a physical space before. So this is all new, just the Legacy Collective. There's been a lot of challenges and that I've had to come up. But the one thing that I always think of is like, everything is figure outable. I love that statement.
Figure outable, I like
I
that.
may not know how to do it, but someone else I know probably knows how to go around the obstacle I'm facing. And so I just have learned to ask for help and ask for people to help me.
Yeah, like in the Legacy Collective industry or market, because there's not really a huge one like you mentioned. There's where do you see like opportunity for growth? Just that the fact there's not really many spots for women to meet and kind of get together, or like is it like what do you see?
So the purpose of the club is really three things. It's for women to have a place to come and just kind of decompress and rest. A lot of us don't have a space like that. We go from work to home, and women work in the home. We're in charge of a lot of things in our homes, and domestically we have a lot of responsibilities. So the first purpose is just to go and just relax. I mean, truly.
Right.
The second is to, obviously there's going to be working spaces. So bring your laptop, bring your computer, and bring friends, bring other people, and connect with other women in the space. And the third is going to be the programming aspect, which I'm really excited about. So we're going to have programming for women from everything on topics from negotiation to health topics is really going to unite and bring a discussion together and build a community of women. Because there's so many great organizations out there having meetings all over our city. There's great networking groups, there's leaders, there's entrepreneurs, but many of those women don't know each other and they don't connect with one another. And that's what I'm really excited about, is the programming and the connection that the space will offer.
Can you give me and the audience a reminder of when the exact open date is, and also give like a brief overview of it?
Yeah, so we're going to be opening April 1st at 9 a.m. We actually have a ribbon cutting scheduled for that day. We are located in Regency Landing, so right off of 107th and Pacific, and you can find out all about it at the legacycollectiveomaha.com.
Yeah, that's really cool. When it comes to business, partnerships are very important. Can you name a time throughout this journey of building Legacy Collective or Brave Enough that you've had, like that your banking partners helped you?
Absolutely. For my first business, this is really funny. I just went to the hotel. I decided I was going to have this conference, And I went to the hotel because I had done conferences through my other organization, through my institution. So I knew that you needed a contract with a hotel and put on this event. And I walked up and I said, I want to put on an event here. And they said, well, where's your EIN? Where's your business identity? Where's your LLC? I had no idea what they were talking about. I'm like, no, I'm going to do this. Like, I don't have a business. And they're like, no, that's not how this works. So you need to come back when you have like all of this, figured out. So I literally Googled, like, how do I start an LLC? And they said, go to your bank. So I went to my local bank and I said, I need to develop an LLC and I don't know how to do that. I have to have like a banking account apparently to apply for the application. And the person at the bank like said, well, you need to talk to somebody over here, not at the desk where you literally withdraw money, but over at an actual banker. And that person just really was kind enough to walk me through the whole process. And it took a few hours, but I figured out how to submit an application online to form a business. And that was the first step of honestly forming a business, was a banking partner.
Yeah, that's awesome. What kind of advice would you give someone in my shoes, or like a college or high school student looking to start a business and not really knowing what to do, like just to not be afraid? Or what would you say your best advice would be?
I would say the first thing is you can do it. Anyone can do it.
Yeah, I like that.
So don't think you can't do it, because you absolutely can. My daughter started a business at age 13 in the middle of COVID. So anyone can start a business. The second thing is that you just need to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to ask for help. The most successful people in the world, when they build businesses, they almost always have collaborated with someone or have mentors, multiple mentors, who tell them pieces of that business information that they're lacking and what they need to do. Mm-hmm. And most people will take a phone call and help you for free in a 5-10 minute phone call. Asking someone to give you an hour of their time. A lot of people may not have that, but asking someone to give you like 5 or 10 minutes of their time, most people will do that.
In what areas do you think banks can help companies be more successful?
I think asking and helping with the business plan.
Yeah.
And really, I know when I went to the bank for the Legacy Collective, they asked me a lot of great questions that were really integral pieces of the business plan and making you think ahead,
Right.
5 years, 10 years down the road. So I think it's important to have all those pieces and not be afraid to ask those questions, because it's a really important part of your successful business.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes when it comes to money or finances, maybe if we don't have that background, we feel like people are talking over us, or maybe we don't understand something and we're afraid to ask what that meant. Right. I think it's always better just to ask questions.
Yeah, I like that a lot. What would you say is the lemon that you turned into lemonade in your career or personal life? As you see, we kind of have like a lemonade sponsored podcast here. So,
I think for sure me burning out a decade ago and really struggling and wanting to just quit medicine. When I look back, I'm so glad that I felt that way and that I overfunctioned to the point where I was really burned out. I'm glad that happened, because if that hadn't happened to me, and I didn't think like, okay, I probably need some help with, and I need a community of people and I need friends to help me kind of figure out what I need to prioritize in my life. If I hadn't reached out, I wouldn't have my business brave enough. I wouldn't have built that community. And that has been truly one of the biggest blessings of my life. So I'm glad for that lemon that I turned into lemonade.
So what was the cause of your burnout?
I think it was probably what causes most people's burnout. It's death by a million cuts, they say. So it's like very small things that build up. And basically you get to the point where you're working so much, and you're working maybe at home so much as well. Maybe there's a lot going on in your family life or your personal life, that you lose sight of any time for yourself and you really lose boundaries. So I was working, 12, 14-hour days. I was traveling a lot. I had 4 young kids at home. So I really had very little time for sleep or self-care. I wasn't prioritizing taking care of myself, like exercising or spending time doing something like reading or any hobbies. I was just literally working 16, 18 hours a day. And I think when you get success from overworking, it builds your ego, right? And then it builds the expectations everyone has around you that you're just this machine that can just keep going until you can't keep going anymore.
Yeah, I think something that you said that stuck out to me was we like to live for the expectations of others, like our family or something like that. Like, can you go into a little bit more depth on how you kind of, obviously they probably thought you were going to be a doctor, and then you just kind of switched to being more of an entrepreneur?
Yeah. And I think, for me, I was a first generation college graduate and first generation medical school graduate. So it was a big deal in my family. And everybody was really looking at me to like be the doctor that I am. And I love being a doctor. But when I decided to also be an entrepreneur and go part-time as a physician, the most stressful thing was telling my parents, even though I was like 40 years old, and because I did not want to let them down. I didn't want to disappoint them. And some of my friends as well, some of my doctor friends, a lot of my friends, I was really afraid to tell them because I thought, oh, they're going to think less of me, or they're going to think I'm doing something that's not important or less important. And it wasn't the people that you don't know, that you're never afraid to disappoint people you don't like, or that you don't know, but you're always afraid to disappoint the people that really mean the most to you in life. Mm-hmm. And my parents were like totally supportive. Most of my friends were supportive, and if they weren't, I realized they weren't really my friends, right?
Exactly.
So it's very easy for you to find success in life in areas that you're pleasing the expectations of others. And it's hard to back down from that success, because I was getting a lot of success as a physician, but it was in maybe areas I didn't truly enjoy anymore.
Right. Well, thank you so much. Now, before we go, we brought some Dayspring lemonade in for you to try. We can you might want to shake it up. We can rate it out of 10 or see what kind of how you like it. It's got watermelon, orange, apple, and lemon.
Oh. Pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What did you say, 10 out of 10?
10 out of 10
That's
for
what
sure.
I would say, too.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Shillcutt, for sharing your amazing experiences with us. And we look forward to having you guys back on another episode. Thank you.
Thanks.